The Bible talks about bread in three senses. The first is manna. Israel is in the wilderness. It has escaped slavery entirely through God's grace, and now in the wilderness God promises to rain down the bread of heaven to fulfill its daily needs. Will Israel trust in God, or will it seek other means of sustenance? This moment crystallizes the whole story of the Old Testament. The second way that the Bible talks about bread is in the feeding narratives in the Gospels. Jesus is in a wilderness place, echoing Moses in the wilderness. And the challenge to the crowds, and especially the disciples, is simple. Is Jesus the new Moses, through whom Israel will be fed in the wilderness, or will the people need to make their own arrangements? The point of the story is not the miracle, but the clear message that in depending wholly on Jesus, we are depending wholly on God, and Jesus will not let us down. He will be more than enough for us. Josiah Conder's Victorian hymn, Bread of Heaven, On Thee We Feed, echoes this sense that Jesus will always be enough for us, whatever happens. The third sense of bread in the Bible is, of course, the Last Supper and the Eucharist, in which Jesus becomes the bread we share, and the bread becomes Jesus. Thomas Aquinas wrote a whole liturgy for the feast of Corpus Christi, not just a Mass, but also the 7 monastic offices. The celebrated anthem Panis, Angelicus is the second last section of the whole liturgy. The setting, by the Belgian composer César Auguste Jean Guillaume Hubert Franck, with the most first names in the world, was written in 1872, originally for choir, organ, cello, harp, and double bass. It was famously sung at the funerals of 2 great American Catholic politicians, Bobby and Edward Kennedy. The 19th century specialised in muscular, strident hymns, in contrast with the work of the 18th century Charles Wesley, which was saturated with scriptural allusions. One exception is the magnificent Lord Enthroned in Heavenly Splendour, which was written as a post-communion hymn and offers a concentrated Eucharistic theology. In the first verse, Jesus is the true and living bread, while in the last verse, he is both the heavenly manna and the stricken rock. Just as Moses struck the rock of Horeb, producing sustenance for Israel, so the streaming side of the crucified Jesus yields the blood of the Eucharist. In this hymn, the ordinary bread of earthly toil is summoned up into heavenly glory, just as we shall be.